Yup.
And welcome back to the Bounce Stadium Rant's flagship NBA program. I am your host, Kev, and with me is my co-host, James. James, how you doing, brother?
I am good. How about yourself, Kev? You doing all right?
Oh, it's a busy week out here. The NBA has given us so much
Oh
to
yeah.
look at, man. I been a little clip happy this week, so fair warning to all of you now, but I'm feeling great, man. And I'm gonna just go ahead and we're gonna dive into one right now. How does this not pick up your mood?
Orlando's played, they've won. They've both been home games. Look at Bull.
Look at that
That's
handle.
a 7'2" man.
Yes,
Beautiful.
it is.
That's him, right? That's what you expect. Like point guard skills, steal, taking it all the way, just Euro stepping right around everybody. That's expected, right?
That's exactly what you've been looking for. It is funny because I had been seeing a lot of fantasy basketball posts saying, "Hey, it's could be a good time to add Bol to your roster." And then I see that play, and I'm like, "Okay,
Oh, maybe.
push the agenda. Let's go."
How many steps do you think it takes him to get from free throw line to free throw line?
7? Is that
Oh,
is that too many, you think? I think if
I
he
I
really
bet
wants
it's
to, it's 5
I
maybe.
bet it's 5. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think 7's probably a few too. I bet you can get there in 5.
Yeah,
That's
if
unbelievable.
he's not trying his best, if he's making sure he doesn't hurt himself, I'm saying 7, but yeah, I think 5 is probably the answer. Uh, Nimble, quick as a hiccup with some cat-like reflexes, as the legend Jim Ross would say.
Right?
There was another before we get into another clip, we had some big nights earlier in the week that we want to highlight. One would be Darius Garland's 51
Mhm.
pointer against the Timberwolves, and you had some bonus stats in there, James, about that. You want to break down that? Well, a night of
A night
50
of
pieces.
yes, back-to-back 50 pieces. I caught you off guard with one because you missed the second one, but first is Darius Garland, career high 51. Okay, so here's a trivia question for you. He's the fourth Cavaliers player to score 50 in a game. Can you name the other three? Two, I think you can get. One, I don't think so.
So there's LeBron,
LeBron's done it 7 times. Just outrageous amount.
Kyrie.
Yep. So there's your two easy ones.
Is it gonna be like Mark Price?
That's a good guess, but no, it's Walt Wesley. I don't even know who that is.
Nope. I will go look for that card in 2K
Yeah,
at some point. See
right. So he
Walt
goes
West.
career high 51 in a loss to the drum roll, please. Timberwolves. Timberwolves. All right, so Timberwolves got to win.
Yeah.
He goes 16 of 31, 51.6%. Hits 10 threes, 10 of 5, 10 of 15 from 3, 9 of 13 from the free throw line. And then he scored 27 of his 51 in the fourth. 27 of them in the fourth, which is impressive.
Huge. Yeah. Massive fourth. Like that's all-star. That's an all-star fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
There's only some really, really big, memorable names that usually have those kind of fourth quarters. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
guys have had big first and second quarters, but I
To
was
do
I
it in
was
the
stunned by
fourth.
that one too because you were privy to that. I wasn't. I hadn't. I was like, wow, 27 in the fourth. My
It's
God.
that's why, and for the Cavs, they just can't get it together. He missed so many games, and then Donovan Mitchell didn't play in that game when he went off. Like they've got two stellar guards that just haven't played a ton together this year.
And it's hard. That's where it's really hard to gauge with them. I've already seen the articles out. The contenders are pretenders. Are the Cavs
Mm-hmm.
legitimate? And I think it's too early to even consider that because we've so rarely seen the full team together. And their two primary ball handlers are going to need a little more time. And I think that's
Exactly.
just going to be an absolutely dynamic duo when they give them 20 games together and then tell me where the Cavs are at in the standings after that.
I agree with that 100% because I bet they haven't played very many games together. When you get 20 or so together, you get a good sample size, and they start to figure it out together. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And
They're going
when
to be really good.
yeah, especially when coach figures out the rotation and
Mm-hmm.
you can have 42 minutes of the
One or the
one
other.
or the other. Have
Mm-hmm.
fun, boys. Yep. Especially with those rotating bigs. Yeah.
Yep.
A matchup nightmare. Much like one little teaser that we have some other matchup nightmares we'll cover soon. But
Yep.
he wasn't the only 50 piece of the
No.
night.
So not to be outdone, he gets the first 50 point. I think it's the first 50 point of the season. Joel Embiid, less than 2 hours later, outdoes him. Joel goes for 59, his career high, in a 105-98 victory over the Jazz. He doesn't score. He scores 26 of the team's 27 points in the fourth quarter. His percentages were crazy. 19 to 28 from the field, 68%, 1 for 5 from 3. 24 free throws, 20 of 24. 11, and then what he adds to it: 11 rebounds, 8 assists, 7 blocks. Like,
7.
yeah, just casual.
Wow.
He is 2 assists and 3 blocks away from a quadruple double.
Jeez. On a 59 point night.
Yeah,
That's
it was
just
like
insane.
11, 10, 8, 7. It was 59, 11, 8, 7. That's crazy.
Wow. I mean, I'm gonna say it right now. I would really love for this to be Joel Embiid's MVP season right here.
Just go off all season.
Let's get it. Let's stay healthy. Let's be the
Big
MVP.
key.
Yeah, because we've seen performances like this, and there have been a couple of years where, for a good chunk of the season, you could say Embiid was a front runner for MVP, and he just can't quite string together a full. But it's because of performances like that. 7 blocks alone. Like, you're not. I'm like burying the fact that it was a near quadruple double, because it's hard to even get to that, because he scored 59 points and he had 7 blocks, and so rarely are those two things like do they coincide, like, to have that impactful, to stuff the stats like that. Usually when you're scoring 59, that's most of what you're contributing to the game. You're not providing
no, it's all scoring.
And yeah, it's all scoring. The 20 out of 24 from the line, I think, is something that at this point we've taken advantage. Some of us, maybe I have. Let me just speak for myself. Joel Embiid being that good of a foul shooter, free throw shooter, is amazing. That's what you need and should really be the standard for big men. I don't know what his actual percentage is right now. I didn't look that up, but I'm sure it's not in the 60s. Is all I'll say. I mean, when your big man can score, when he gets to the line as often as he does, like 20 points from the line, that's almost immeasurable.
83% from the line. So
yep. I almost felt comfortable quoting it in the 80s, because that seems about where he's hovered for most of his career. But it's just very, very good. And I don't know, the Sixers team. I have mixed feelings about them. But Joel Embiid, it's hard not to root for him, especially.
They have won 3 of their last 4 now, Kev. Trending. James Harden goes out. They've won 3 of their last 4.
Somebody's gonna be taking another pay cut soon. Do you think since we're talking about it, do you think there's anything there? Is that just good luck, good timing, or without Harden, is it?
It's they had 2 games against the Hawks. They split. They do beat the Phoenix Suns. They beat our beloved Jazz. I think they're probably trending in the right direction. Like, they're 500 now, so it's not like they're back in the top yet. But they got a big one. They play the Bucks. That would be Friday night. It looks like.
Yeah,
they play the Bucks Friday. We'll talk about that one. Yeah, they got a big one Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely going to be one of our Friday night previews. So, yeah, we had the big night from a couple of guys out east, and we were talking about, you had mentioned the defense of Joel Embiid, and that reminds me of some other amazing defensive pressure that we've seen this week.
And
we'll talk a little bit here about. Look at that. This reminds me of peak Jim Boeheim right here. This is what happens when everyone in your starting 5 is 6'7".
Ooh. Rolled out a lineup 6'7" or taller everywhere. Like, you sent me that clip and I had to watch it like 3 times to figure out what was going on. It's unbelievable how big they are.
And to trap off the opening tip was great. I mean, I think that's something you think to do when you have just a lineup of that's that tall and lanky. Like that's immediately why I went
Mm-hmm.
to prime Syracuse. I just thought of those years
100%.
where Boeheim would have 5 of those type guys sit in a 2-3 zone and no one could score on them
You'd
for
have to shoot
a
it from
season.
half court because you couldn't get anywhere.
Couldn't get a pass through. And then, they'd also do a lot of pressing and trapping in the full court because again, you can just be so
Mm-hmm.
chaotic in the passing lanes when you're that tall and that athletic and you can match up and I just imagine I'm normally one who I'm not a big fan of switching on picks. But when
Mm-hmm.
you have a defense like that, I imagine you're doing it because you
You
can
don't
get
even
away with
think
it.
about it. It's
Yeah.
just automatic. You just switch everything because you can.
What's a mismatch? Never
There
heard of
isn't.
her.
There isn't. The
Yeah.
mismatch actually goes on the other side, right? Did you see? Okay, so there's a guy that was out there on that. Do you know Delano Banton was out there? Do you know where he came from? Anything?
No.
So he started his career at Western Kentucky because we played him one year. This one blows my mind that he's the NBA. He was the backup point guard on that team. Might have had 2 points against us. Then he transferred to Nebraska. Somehow it blew my mind that he was able to transfer to Big Ten. Gets to Nebraska, then gets drafted. And he had 27 last night.
Wow.
Because they're playing without Fred, without Siakam, and 2 other guys. They're all hurt right now, and they won last night.
And they won. Yeah.
And they're doing stuff like that.
I think we were talking about contenders or pretenders. I don't know. I'm not ready to say anything. I don't know that this is a title worthy team, but this is a nasty. I wouldn't want to see this team in the first round.
It's a fun hypothetical if those guys all have to play out in a first round series and go nuts.
Yeah, I could see them making someone upset. I don't think they make a long run, but I will not be surprised if I'm picking the Raptors to upset someone in the first round.
Very frustrating team to have to play.
And you're putting these young guys in a position right now to get meaningful playing time with 2 of their best players hurt, and they go out and get a win, and they're doing things like trapping off the opening tip. It's just, I don't know. That's got to be a fun team to be playing on right now.
Oh, yeah.
And kudos to the extra pass, too. They gave up a wide open 3 for an even more open layup, and that's a team that is in sync. They're playing Spurs ball right there in that clip. And props to them. So what were some other? I've got one last highlight here for us. But what were there? Were there other highlights of the week that you had?
I had Jaren Jackson making his debut last night. That's your boy in fantasy. Got him on fantasy basketball. Not a great debut. 7 points, just 3 of 14 shooting, 5 blocks in 25 minutes. Speaking of blocks.
Yeah.
So the Grizzlies get good and bad news. He comes back, and then Desmond Bane's out 2 to 3 weeks with a toe sprain. Kev, if you had a toe sprain, how much work would you miss, do you think?
I wouldn't get to miss any work.
It's unfortunate.
No, yeah, nope. I do not use my toes enough. Nope, no turf toes getting me out of anything. That is tough though. Like a toe, I get it. What was it? 3 weeks?
2 to 3 weeks, yeah.
2 to 3 weeks. I get that. Just a crossover. Shouts out to Necessary Roughness, our flagship football program. But one of my least favorite things about being a Colts fan is that our stadium provides half the league with all of its turf toe cases throughout the season.
Titans had a receiver just come off turf toe last week because he got hurt at Lucas Oil earlier in the season.
Yeah, they hurt most of their own best guys at one point or another as well. And so make no bones about it, if that's still a phrase you can use, that toe injuries can really slow you down. So I am not surprised. It's unfortunate to see Desmond.
It caught me off guard when I saw it called a toe sprain because NFL it's eternally known as turf toe.
Turf toe, yeah.
So when I saw that, I was like, wait, what is that?
What even is that?
Like, what? I've never heard of that before.
I just learned that just now. I didn't realize that. Okay, good. Toe sprain. Interesting. I just assumed that turf toe was when fake grass just started growing out of the top of your feet. So
I think that's something way worse. Hopefully that's never happened to you.
Gangrene.
Right?
So
speaking of green, the Celtics moved to 8 straight wins tonight. They just beat the Hawks.
8 straight. I think it's safe to say they are trending up. I'm going to refresh the standings here. I wish I had a Celtics clip to play for you, but yeah, they are
offense is Their defense isn't as good yet as last year. They were sitting around 19th in efficiency, but their offense is head and shoulders above anybody in the league right now.
I'm almost prepared to say that it wasn't Ime Udoka.
I think we might, yeah, maybe the defense, but listen, back to
Yeah,
back,
fair.
126-point games, 117, 131, 128, 109, 133, 123. That's their winning streak right now.
Wow. And I believe, let me double check this, that, yeah, they are the highest scoring team in the Eastern Conference, being chased very closely by my Indiana Pacers. But yeah,
Hey,
Celtics are averaging 120.5 points per game. And let's see, league wide, actually, they're tops in the
I was
league.
gonna say I think they're tops in the league.
Yeah. Which is crazy when you look at the top scorers in the league. You would not expect to see the Kings and the Pacers, and then you've got the Thunder at 6, actually. But yeah, so very interesting. They are, yeah, as you said, the defense isn't nearly as good. They are middling at best. They're right in the middle of the league, averaging
They were
113 points against.
They were towards the top last year in defensive, so that's got to get better. But them boys, they're good. The Malcolm Brogdon additions really helped him out, and Tatum's playing out of his mind. They're so good.
Yeah,
This is an 8-game winning streak over good teams. Atlanta, Denver's in there, Memphis, Knicks, Bulls. Their last loss was to Cleveland. That was 2 weeks ago, to the day. Yeah, so they're playing great.
On an absolute roll. And you mentioned the Knicks, and I'm going to pop up a little highlight here. Check your ears. Apologize for the volume in advance, but I got a couple
things. First down the last 2 minutes. Quickly throws it up, and Sims throws it down. What a beautiful connection. Quickly
ridiculous.
Visiting crowd.
There's a second angle.
So is oohing and eyeing over this one. Look at Jericho Sims jumps over Walker Kessler.
What do you think? Do you think the air is thin up there? Is it harder to breathe? I've never been that high.
I would love to see him go full force, because I don't even think that was all of it.
He's almost he's like sauntering, like jogging. Like if he takes off, I bet. I mean, his head's already above the rim. He's talking about the top of the rim.
He'd have to do like the Dwight Howard throw it in, because like I think
he
gets so high that it'd be hard to like actually dunk the ball on his way down. He'd almost like overshoot it. But the Knicks, they played spoiler again last night or earlier this week to the Jazz, who we're going to talk about at a certain point. But yeah, don't look now, but the Knicks are putting together a win streak. And it was, funnily enough, almost as if on cue, I was watching that game on the Jazz home broadcast, and they were looking forward to their next opponent, the Suns, who we will we'll talk about that, so stick around. And the Jazz commentator said, no offense to the Knicks, but we got the varsity coming in on Friday. And at that point, Utah had an 8-point lead, and it quickly evaporated. So I hate to be that guy, but play-by-play guys, don't quit jinxing your squads. Like, you should know this by now. Don't do that stuff. And I mean, there are some teams in this league, if you wanted to call them the JV, coming, but I don't think if I'm the Jazz that I could look at, or if I'm a Jazz commentator, I don't think I'd be looking. I know the Knicks have had a rough. I mean, they've had some bad losses. Don't get me wrong, but to call them the JV, I was quick action karma.
Yeah, real quick, got them real fast. Let's hold off, Jazz. We don't need to be doing anything wild yet. Just keep it to yourselves right now. And Knicks are in the 8th spot. They're 7-7 right now. They're trending back up.
Yeah, getting back towards where we expected them to be a little bit. And there was another team that in the Eastern Conference that is absolutely not trending up, and I think that you had these guys as one of your highlights. What was it? What was the Ben Simmons stat you had for us? I don't want to steal your thunder.
Ben, this is embarrassing. Ben Simmons finally scored in double digits for the first time all season. I would have asked you how many it was, but I already told you. He scored 11 points.
You got it.
Double digits.
What day was that?
He has made it. I think it was Monday. Let's pull that up.
That was Monday's game. Okay,
I think it was Monday. Let's see here. Yeah, he finally scored in because as soon as I saw the tweet sent to us, I was like, "Oh no!" Like I had a different way I was going with this one tonight.
We thought things were so
Oh
promising. We thought
God,
we were going to be talking about the Brooklyn Nets finally on the rise because
5.8 points per game, man. Oh man. Yeah, that was Tuesday. Tuesday against the Kings. However, that was in a 32-point loss. They let the Kings score 153 points.
yeah,
Hey,
and
he shot 71% from the field. He was 5 for 7. Let the man shoot.
hey, exactly
0 threes. Not as not
zero
attempted one
threes.
on the season. It looks like,
And
or maybe he
despite
has. Not very many.
that barn burner of a performance, as we were prepping for the show, in fact, we were sent this wonderful tweet,
Oh boy.
courtesy of Bleacher Report, which is official because for those of you who aren't on Twitter, it is an absolute forest fire, and verification is an interesting thing right now. But I can confirm this is officially a Bleacher
Yes.
Report tweet. Okay, so just so
Officially
we're all
official.
clear, everybody's getting their credit here. But there is frustration building within the Nets around Ben Simmons' availability and level of play, per Shams and Sam Amick. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Some in the organization are questioning his passion for the game. Now, I have a question for you, James. Have you heard such allegations before?
Are you sure they didn't just copy that tweet and reword it? Because last time I saw it, wasn't it the 76ers who were mad at him, and that team was the one mad at him for not playing and his dedication and da 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 da. I think the Nets got fleeced here. I think they gave up somebody better.
It's officially official, isn't it? That
Yeah.
they lost that trade. Even with the oh man,
It's
what
wild.
when you in retrospect look at the James Harden like this trade, they lost both trades because of this, right? Like not only
Yes.
when you think about, even if you were to remove the fact that they traded Ben Simmons for James Harden, because at this point I almost don't look at it that way. I look at it as they traded Ben Simmons for Karis LeVert and Jarrett Allen,
Really.
and maybe what was it, Dinwiddie? Who there was a couple other young players that they
Yep.
had to let go to make room for this.
Yep.
And I'm even viewing that as a big fat L at this point. Like, tell me you wouldn't rather have Karis LeVert on your
100%.
team by
100%.
himself or Jarrett
At least
Allen by himself.
At least they shoot the ball.
Yeah.
It's his stats are like, it's unbelievable how much he's fallen. He was averaging 15, roughly like 16, 17 a game, 8 assists, 8 rebounds. Like now it's 6 points a game, 6 rebounds, 5.6 assists. Like, man, like what happened?
It's the yips. I think
Man, it really, every time you talk about it, I'm like, it really does. Like that's what it sounds like.
I can't come up with any other reasonable explanation other than it's just there is some mental block. Now there's also the millionaire aspect of it. So that I think is a difficult part, tough pill to swallow for anyone trying to make sense of what's going on with Ben Simmons, because none of us are like, well, I have $1 million in the bank. I can quit doing this right now. Like what's the motivation outside of, if he doesn't have a passion for his job anymore, he never has to work again, I would think.
Yeah,
I
he's
don't know
got
what he's done with his money.
generational wealth. Like unless he's blown it all, you're absolutely right there. He's 50 year in the league. He's got plenty. It just the passion for the game thing's a scary thing, man. When you start seeing that kind of stuff and guys struggling like that, ooh, that's not
And
good.
when it's coming out, like it's one thing for them to feel that way. And by no means has this been a tightly run ship, but this is so detrimental to the Nets that this got out.
Yes.
So like it's the worst case scenario. Because if that's true, you don't want anyone else to think that about him. You want to be doing whatever you can. If anything, the story should have been, hey, 70. It should have been your headline, right? It should have been, hey, scored 11 points last night.
Double digits.
He was efficient. He's
anybody interested? Starting to look good.
Yeah, he's looking worth a late first rounder.
11
right?
points,
in
5
years.
rebounds, 3 assists. Like, hey, there you go. Got a steal.
Yeah, who needs a backup point guard?
20 minutes. In only 20 minutes. Imagine if they'd have played him 40. 22, 10, and 6, Kev.
But yeah, that's a stat line. There we go. And he's bringing Showtime back to Brooklyn. Poor Brooklyn, who currently sit at 6-9. And I didn't include this tweet that I'm about to reference, but since we've talked about the 76ers and now we're talking about Brooklyn, and at some point we're going to talk about a different trade rumor, I think now would be a good time for me to mention what could very well have been a completely phony tweet, again, because of the state of Twitter currently. It's kind of why I mentioned it. It's hard to, you have to really double check anything you're seeing right now. Yes.
Wild West. Be careful.
I saw what I am currently believing to be a fake rumor that said that the Sixers would be interested in making a move for Kevin Durant. So I just made me want to play a hypothetical, knowing what we know about Kevin Durant and his unhappiness with that just came out as well in the pre-show that he expressed, I believe, to ownership before Steve Nash was fired, that or mutually parted ways, that he had expressed to someone in the front office that he was unpleased with the level of preparation that the Nets were putting into their game plan. So with all that being said, you can address the Sixers thing if you want. There might just be a meme. But at this point, do you think it's getting to be trade Kevin Durant time? And if so, do you have anybody that you think would be a good candidate for him?
I think the problem being is, what are you going to get back for him? Obviously, he's one of the best players in the league. However, everybody knows what's going on. You've lost a lot of leverage. He asked to be traded in the offseason. It didn't happen. I'm not ready to give in just yet. They got it. I don't know if Kyrie ever comes back. I don't know what the deal is there. What's going on with that mess?
Yeah.
But it's KD by himself right now, and this whole the way they built that super team and where it's super team in quotes, you got those three guys, and where it's gone since then has been for them as an organization, completely disappointing. They've gotten nothing out of it.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, they've given up. They've sold the farm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's where even though there's not going to be nearly the same return, that's almost where I kind of think it would be worth looking at nearing the trade deadline, especially if there's an injury to a team that has championship aspirations. And I don't know, maybe there's a move you can make. I did not do my diligence and look at Kevin Durant's contract before we recorded.
Yeah, I don't
again,
know
it was
any
just
of
kind of
that.
a hypothetical.
It's massive. I think if they keep struggling and they don't get it figured out with Kyrie back, I think you have to consider it, as you could get a pretty big haul back for those two. However, you're not getting a big haul back for Ben Simmons.
And I wouldn't put it past KD in the right situation. And I don't mean this in a negative way. And I'm putting out that disclaimer now, knowing what I'm about to say, because it could be taken the wrong way. But given what we know about his displeasure in his current setting, I wouldn't put it past KD to maybe I'll say pull a Kawhi and just be less and less available as this situation gets worse. And if you're the Nets, at what point do you just, it's that, again, you have to avoid the sunken cost fallacy. I understand what you did to get here. At some point, you may have to just come to terms with the reality that it didn't work. And the longer you hold on to your asset, the more it is bleeding in value and your return gets smaller and smaller. And so you're better off just getting something out of it while you can. And like you said, I think because I think Durant may also know in the back of his head, depending on how long he would have to sit it out, that's just less opportunities to get injured.
Yep.
The way he plays his game, and I don't know that there's a big fear of him being near his plateau where he's going to drop. So he could be willing to pull a Kawhi, or maybe I should stop saying it that way. But he may be willing to.
It's an easy reference though.
Yeah, it's just exactly the easy one to grab where people would think about, because he's not the only player to do it. And I'm not suggesting that it was all out of sorts, but anyway, I could see if it's not in his best interest to play that, these guys, I tend to believe in an 82 game season, much like they say with the NFL. No one's 100%. So how hard is it to have a doctor say, "Oh yeah, you absolutely." Most of these guys, if you took them to a doctor that wasn't working for a basketball team,
They'd be like, "Whoa,
yeah,
whoa."
you should quit this. You should have quit 3 years ago. Why are you
Yep.
still doing this? Like, yeah, so it's not that hard to go to a different doctor and say, "Hey, yeah, I'm not cleared to play." It not suggesting it's going to go that route right now, but I think if it doesn't get any better, the Nets would be well served to just move on, because you mentioned the Kyrie thing, and we won't have the time to discuss that punishment and what he's got to do to get back and all that. But there is a chance, like you have to acknowledge, there's a chance that he doesn't play again for the Nets, or
It is.
maybe
I
even
mean,
for
we don't know.
anyone
It's
at this
possible.
rate.
We don't know.
So how long will Durant wait that out? Is that going to
Exactly.
be the remainder of this season that they're dealing with this?
He didn't come to Brooklyn to play with the ghost of Ben Simmons. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and the other Curry, that's
Oh yeah, that's the
getting
wrong
good
one.
players. Yeah,
Good
but
player, good player, just not Kyrie level and James Harden level.
exactly built to be complements to a big three, and now they don't have it. And you can spread that floor, but if there's really no threat, if you just got
Yeah.
4 spot up shooters and Kevin Durant, it's going to be hard to
Well, if
move
the
the ball.
Raptors, they just stand in place. They don't have to try to play
Yeah,
defense
it's
with
just
6,
standing.
7 dudes.
And so while the Nets have no problem with spacing, the Timberwolves have had a problem with it in
Ugh.
the early goings of this season. And
Mhm.
this is one of those situations in life where, because we do a weekly show, a segment starts out with one intent and then a couple of games get played throughout the week.
Mhm.
And it's like, well, maybe I should hold back because perhaps Minnesota is starting to figure some of this
Maybe
stuff out.
you're wrong, Kev. Maybe you're wrong. Maybe we're wrong.
Maybe. Maybe we were wrong, or I was wrong. But so I'll have some clips here to show in a second. But before get into the clipping of it all, to talk about some actual plays that we've seen, how we've seen the Twin Towers situation in
Trying
Minnesota
to
being
figure it
used.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, that we see them, they're trying to do some things and they're winning some games.
They are on a 2-game winning streak right now after
Yes.
they beat the Magic tonight.
Just trounced the Magic. And, I allowed myself to get excited when I saw the headline from a certain worldwide alleged leader in sports, where it was, "Oh, Gobert has 2 dunks to seal the victory." Little did I know it was a 20-point win nearly.
Right?
And
It was, yeah.
at least one of these highlights I don't know is super impressive. So I'm going to let them roll here. Bear with us, folks. There is a slight delay on the first one, but here I'm going to let it roll. And let's see. I'm not muted. You should not be muted. Perfect. So here's this first one. I'm going to have some gripes about this early. That he at least follows his shot. This is the play that I like this action better. I have some gripes about their commitment to these screens, but that second play, I like what I kind of like what I see
Yeah,
there. What
they're
do you like? What do you see?
setting that step up, trying to get him to commit, and then swinging it and rolling it real quick. The first one, like you said, Gobert drives right into it. They're kind of quasi playing a high low, getting it set up from the weak side there. It's different. It's one way to get it done. Like they got to get a little creative with these lineups and these plays they're going to run for these two. And that's the kind of stuff they got to find stuff like that to make it work. I was looking at the stats from tonight. Towns had 30, 2 of 5 from 3. He was 10 of 15 from the field. Gobert had 16 and 8. How does Towns only have 5 rebounds, by the way? That's mind blowing to me. Anthony Edwards had a monster game, 35, 8, and 6.
That's good to hear. And I
Yeah.
don't I don't understand the rebounding thing with Cat. I just don't. I mean, some of it, of course, is Gobert's there, but that it was an issue before. It's not just
Yeah,
Gobert stealing his shine.
it's a
It's been a
career
thing.
issue.
Yeah.
So
Oh, go ahead.
I like the play design. You got to do some different stuff. You got to find ways, because the good thing is Towns can shoot. Gobert can't. Towns can. So you can do some stuff there with him on the outside, but this isn't the old school NBA. This is in the 70s where it's 3 out, 2 guys on the block, and you just pound it in. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, to play it in and out that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Everyone, whether or not they even read a scouting report, every team, every player on every team they'll face will know that Cat can shoot it from deep and that Gobert can't shoot it from outside of the circle. And I like what you said. I agree with what you said, because when I was watching some of their action from about 2 weeks ago, they were doing something a little different. So it was similar with the staggered ball screens in this sense. Again, screens. But in these sense, what they were doing previously is they would have D'Angelo bring the ball up to the top of the key, and it would be Cat and then Gobert staggered at the top of the key, and he would sort of, with a dribble, he would bring the ball up to, short corner extended, get the defender to dip beyond the 3-point line, and then come back up to try to get off the staggered screen at the top of the key. But then you would see Anthony Towns roll to the basket, and then you'd see Gobert do the exact same roll to the
right behind him,
right behind him. And then to top it off, which has been another issue, has been just D'Angelo Russell and his decision making. With his 2 big guys both crashing, he decides he's going to drive to the rim, and then he picks up his dribble, picks up his feet, and it's a turnover. Because he's got to jump and try to pass the ball behind him somewhere. And there's been a lot of that too, of them, because there's this confusion, they're overcommitting and getting caught in no man's land, and it's turned into turnovers. But it's promising to see that they've come up with this. I don't want to sit here and say it's some super unique groundbreaking offense.
Groundbreaking.
You'll see high schools run this, but at the same time, they're utilizing their strengths and drawing that attention over to Cat, trying to get easy baskets for Gobert. That second play worked well. I know it's a slip screen, but when you're as big as Cat and Rudy, the guy defending the ball handler should absolutely be worried about you coming to set that screen. That's the whole point of slipping a screen. So when you just step in here, and it's like you're running a we're gonna get hit by it's like running lines, because if I say the word, we're gonna get flagged by YouTube.
Yeah.
So you guys know what I'm talking about. But you know how when you're sprinting, you would always just have the 1 foot in and then power out. I get it, but you should not be doing that when you're setting a screen, or when you're trying to slip a screen. I think you really have to. It's like a ball fake in football. Like if they don't think you're a threat to set that screen,
they're not going to shift they're not going to shift their hips. They're not going to shift how they're guarding you. You're absolutely right. And in both of those, they don't. They get the baskets, but it's not because they think they're setting that screen. Like if you don't sell that screen, the defender doesn't shift, doesn't prep, the communication on their side doesn't happen, and nothing. It doesn't work.
Yeah, you lose the advantage that the play is designed for. So I think some of it is that there needs to be a little bit more commitment to the fundamentals, but it is nice to see that they're working some things out. We're gonna do probably more of a deep dive since
we're gonna have some fun with this.
Yeah, since this has grown a little bit, and we do love to keep an eye on our smaller middle market teams.
So
definitely
the game tonight. Okay, trivia question. Love a trivia question with you. Paolo didn't play for the Magic, so they beat the Magic. Who was the Magic's leading scorer? This one's good.
It's Terrence Ross.
Nope.
Is he still there?
He had 6.
I was gonna say I'm questioning if he's even still there.
Your boy Bull had 26 points on 21 shots tonight. 26 and 12. Didn't hit a 3, by the way. 26 and 12 tonight.
On 23 shots, you said?
21 shots, 26 points on. He was minus 22 tonight.
Call him Bull Iverson tonight. Jeez.
Yep. Only 3 offensive rebounds, 4 turnovers. Hit both his free throws. Give him credit where credit is due. Yeah, that's wild.
So that's some added context too, and that's why I'm not ready to sit here and say, "Oh yeah,
Yeah,
we were wrong about Minnesota." I'm
they
like,
beat a
okay,
4-11 Orlando team. Like,
yeah,
let's pump the brakes a little
let's
bit.
see what that offense does for another week, and see if we can't scheme up a little something better because it's
They
a good
did beat the
problem to
Cavs.
have.
Yeah, they did beat the
Yep.
Cavs earlier this week. That's a good win, but you're right. Like they've lost to the Lakers. This is I don't know. The answer is I don't know with these guys.
Yep.
Their defensive efficiency is awful. They're 22nd in the league, giving up
Which
116 a game.
yeah,
Like,
defeats the whole purpose of the trade. And then
well,
when
we
you're
all
off,
know like Gobert is a big time defensive guy. We've known that rim protector. The reason they got him is because Cat can't guard he can't guard the rim at all.
yeah. Yep. And then I don't think their perimeter. I mean, a lot of their perimeter guys are offensive focused, and
Yeah,
it helps,
D.
and
Russ,
you can be more
Anthony Edwards.
aggressive
Yeah,
in the passing lanes and stuff like that when you know you've got somebody to cover you. But that being said, it can also create a lot of bad habits too. When you just have this concept of, oh, one of the best shot blockers in the NBA is behind me, so I don't really need to try as hard. Not to say no one would. I don't think anybody in the NBA consciously says I don't need to try as hard, but
no,
that
but
doesn't
they
mean that
know
it
he's
doesn't
back there.
subconsciously. Yeah, when you know he's back there, it can make you get lazy, and that defeats the whole purpose. But and again, I will say we got to give them time, but it's one of those things when you have a unique lineup, you shouldn't be the one being put in a disadvantage. You're doing something no one else in the league is doing. That should be a headache for the other guys, not for
Correct.
you. So
You should be creating a disadvantage for the other. Like it should work in your favor. You're absolutely right.
Maybe they should go back and watch some old Popovich tape. Watch some late career David Robinson with young Tim Duncan, because there is a not exactly the same dynamic, but there's, as far as like what Gobert can do offensively, it's about the same as a past his prime David Robinson. So that wasn't meant to be a dig, but it can be if you want it to be.
Yeah.
So that we will come back to
we will
the
be back.
Minnesota Timberwolves. Do not worry about that, Wolves fans. But now it's time for the Wembanyama watch.
Oh yeah.
Wembanyama. I hope I'm saying it right.
I asked you pre-show because I don't know how to say it. I think that's right. It's Wembanyama or Wembanyama. I'm not sure. It's one of them.
I'm glad I got it was so you wanted the natural inclination for me was to go Wembam. Like I wanted 3 M's in there. So I'm just glad that I can spell it now. It was kind of like when I could finally spell Giannis Antetokounmpo without looking it up. It was one of the biggest days in my journalism career. I was like, yes, I don't have to look this up anymore. Fantastic. But here, we're going to play a couple of clips for those of you who haven't.
Away from the defender. It up.
That is this man.
Trying to find some room. This is the running shot. Oh, and he makes it. Well, looked like he was almost playing for the foul when Wembanyama.
For some reason, it's got you muted. But
off 1 foot.
Yeah.
I was so for anybody that doesn't know, that man's going to be the number 1 overall draft pick next year.
Yep.
He's out of France, right?
Yeah, out of France. And there's been some talk of Scoot Henderson, and I just don't see it.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I know a lot of people would argue, well, everyone thought Chet was going to be number 1 for a full year, and that didn't happen. You're not wrong. There's a difference. Everyone's been saying this guy's been the number 1 pick for like the last 2 years.
Yeah.
We've been waiting for this guy, and he is an absolute unicorn. Here's another clip. This one's a little.
The team's had the same as the.
And it's a little more standard.
Wembanyama
just
didn't even
look away 3, but then
shot it. Knew it was
also a strong finish, which that fan couldn't believe. But yeah, so just a little bit there. But yeah, he's just. I wanted to have an extra clip of him just shooting a 3-pointer in rhythm, because so that everyone could appreciate that form.
It looks, he's got good form. He can shoot it. It's not junk. It's not broken. The form's good. He's going to be really good. The question is, Kev, where is he going to end up?
Where?
Obviously there's a lottery, so we're just going to base this all off of who's going to get the top odds again. There's a lottery. It doesn't matter if you get the best odds, but who do you think is going to be up there for the number 1 odds for this guy?
We have got, let's see. I don't know why my standings are backwards like that. Here we go. I'm looking at the bottom 5 right now, and it's good. It fits. Actually, bottom 5. The Hornets and Magic have 4 wins. The Pistons and Lakers have 3, and the Rockets have 2. No notable names not mentioned here are the Spurs, the Pacers, and way too far up, the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, Oklahoma City's not played it. Their young guys have paid better. Yeah,
they're almost 500. Yeah, and also I would say, not that I don't know that Sacramento or their fans would want to hear me say that I thought they might be a lottery team.
Don't say it too loud.
they already are very mad at Pacers fans anyway.
Yep.
But they're sitting at 7-6. They're playing really well, so they are definitely not going to be in the running. We've been talking about this throughout, and we will continue to do it because, again, this is a generational guy, and we also are going to be interested.
Wembanyama watch.
Yep, the Wembanyama watch. Mark it down. It's a recurring segment.
The fun thing here is one said Lakers team that is 3-10 does not own the rights to that pick. That pick goes to the New Orleans Pelicans as part of the Anthony Davis trade.
My God, if that
whoa.
There, if I could write this as a fiction, or if like basketball became wrestling and I could like book how things would play out, absolutely, that's my favorite story. The Pelicans getting the number 1 overall.
And you pair that kid with Zion. So there's a question. Is that trade worth it? The Lakers get a title, which should have an asterisk next to it because of the bubble. Yeah. However, they got a title. They got their title. They traded Anthony Davis, got their title, mortgaged their whole future. Is the title worth them getting the number 1 pick this year and having to ship it out because of how bad they are?
I think Lakers fans might say yes, and I also believe that if that weren't a bubble championship, that obviously the rest of us would have it wouldn't be questioned at all, right? Yeah. Not to say, I almost said we would have more respect for it. I personally, I acknowledge that there's a huge difference in not playing in front of crowds, but I also that was a tough situation for everyone involved. So it is I'm not anti-asterisk, but at the same time, I have to acknowledge, I think people would feel a lot better about it if it were a legit championship, if they got to play some games at home in front of their homes. They won games on the road, anything. I think as far as championships go, this one maybe won't feel as great. And also they've had some bad years between it. So it probably doesn't feel as good because you're sitting here looking at this horrible team that still has LeBron and AD.
Because you're
and then
talking
now,
LeBron's got, at some point, Father Time gets LeBron. Let's give him, maybe it's 5 years. If Wembanyama is as good as we think he's got the next 15, he'd have been your cornerstone into the next. And the Lakers roster's bad, and it doesn't have draft picks.
Not to mention Brandon Ingram, the Brandon Ingram of it all, because that guy, who I am equally excited about, that's a big 3 to me immediately. And then they have CJ McCollum as a 4th option. That's insane. He will destroy. There will be games where he'll be able to go off for 35, 40. And
they're sneaky good, man.
How are you going to stop them?
Good.
And when you are looking back on this and questioning that, you have to remember, Brandon Ingram was part of that AD trade too. So you got to be sitting here. I have been, before this became a possibility, I have been one to frequently ask that question when I look at Lonzo and Kuzma and Julius Randle and Brandon Ingram. I'm like, would the Lakers not have been better off just nurturing and keeping their young guys and building that core? Now, one could argue that if all 5 or 6 of those names I just listed were together, maybe they all don't get the space that they need to grow into the players that they became. And you might be right there, but if we're playing the hypothetical game, I can't help but look at that collection of talent.
It's still LA. They still can get somebody. That's a market players want to play, and they want to go there. That hypothetical is always, because they've been Lonzo Ball at the 1, Ingram would have been the 3, Randall would have been the 4. Kuzma would have probably been the 2 in that group, and it's pretty solid. And you draft them all.
I think they had Josh Hart too off the bench.
Josh Hart
at
was
that
in there.
point.
Like it's a what if that. I get it. They won a championship. It's worth it. Yes, but however,
And you would also say potentially if they had that young core, they're not sitting here with only 3 wins.
I
either.
wouldn't think
So they're
so
not
either.
in the
I don't think so.
Wembanyama
Also,
sweepstakes.
yes,
however
correct.
you cut it, probably.
Yes, correct.
But it's got to sting the way it's playing out right now. And I would wonder if they had the opportunity to look that far ahead, if they would be willing to make the trade again.
Yes.
Just to go put it back to your. So I would say, I don't know. It's tough. As a fan of a franchise who doesn't have any of these things, I would say if the Pacers had done what the Lakers did and got that 1 ring and their future looked bleak, I would say, yeah, sign me up.
Yeah.
I took it.
There's-
I took
yeah,
it as a
there's
Cubs
hype.
fan,
Yeah.
Give me
Exactly. Yeah.
2016 was worth everything that has happened since. I don't care. I
Yep.
might never get another one, but Lakers have a much high, that's championship is the
They're
standard.
expecting it. Yeah.
So to be looking at another decade, like they're potentially looking at the post Kobe era all over again,
Mhm.
without nearly the same success, with 1 title, as you mentioned, in a couple of years, with not even being a threat in the playoffs or even in the playoffs, just a play-in team. So it's a tough one, man. I would not want to be I would not want to be Rob Pelinka right now, who I saw a funny tweet of him apparently getting off a plane in India, or heading onto a plane that was going to Indianapolis. So
what can they give for those guys? That's the question. What if they want Buddy and Miles? Like, what can you give for them?
Draft picks, and that's it at this point. And
that's like, man.
And I don't see it. And I don't know. And for what it's worth, it's been mentioned by other people. The Lakers are not the only team interested in Miles. And before,
I think you could get better for Miles and Buddy elsewhere. Like, there's going to be better packages out there, especially for what they're wanting and needing.
Yeah, there are some other teams. Here's one that I'm pulling this one a little bit out of order here, but it's just happens to be on topic. So this is one that came up and now a few days ago. So I don't know if people would still be considering Jazz to be trade deadline buyers at this moment. The fact that they're even being considered it now is kind of funny to me. That was originally why I brought this, was because this is funny to me. Yeah, but hey, this is almost a better. Now I am off the THT train. I'm not certain that he's going to be the player that the Lakers were so sold on for years that they, and that's another gripe with them. How many good trades did they not take because they were unwilling to part with him? And now he's not on the team. And yeah, so I mean, honestly, this trade right here is probably better than a lot of what the Lakers could offer.
I agree.
And because you're probably either buying out or repackaging Rudy Gay, and then you have Walker Kessler, which is a good fit. If you're getting rid of Miles, you have a potential to replace him immediately. Again, Horton Tucker would not be needed, where there's already a bit of a surplus in Indiana at that position, thanks to the current best rookie in the world.
God, he's good. He is good.
I had to get it in. I can't
100%.
Can't not get it in.
I listen, I'm not a hater. He's good, dude. He is good. Nothing groundbreaking this last week, though. Usually every week we have something. Nothing groundbreaking this week on him.
No, for me, the ground that really was just the fact that the league is now on notice, that they're putting tweets out like this. That's like, okay, he's up there. Now, some of this, of course, as you mentioned, Paolo didn't play, so it's hard for him to stay at the top when he's not playing. But yeah, I don't know that there's going to be that Miles Turner trade, and I, again, as I was talking about, I do not think the Jazz are going to be trade deadline buyers. And what we have seen as I got to pull their schedule up here.
They have lost. Okay, so now, yeah. So this is now going to be a weekly segment, folks. What is going on with the Utah Jazz? The Jazz Watch. What is going on with the Utah Jazz? They have lost 3 in a row since our last episode, so we cursed them. So I assume next week they'll have won every game by next week. They lost to Washington, Philly, and the Knicks. So two good teams, one not so good. 10-6 overall right now. So what is Kev? So where do we? What's going on with these guys? What is happening? Are they all in? What are they doing?
They've really got to be questioning themselves. You pointed out what probably will happen with this jinx, and if they accomplish that, so we'll be live next Thursday back at our regularly scheduled time, and at that point they will have played Phoenix at home, Portland away, against the Clippers in Los Angeles, and then back at home against Detroit. So 3 very tough games and what should be a win. If they win, 3 out of those 4, then I think again at that point you're talking about a 13-5 team that, again, to put it back into the lottery perspective, at that point that's too many. Right? That's already. You could argue they've already won too many. There, you look at you look at the Rockets and stuff, and you're like, when are the Rockets going to get to win 10? And stuff like that. Like there's some teams down there. Charlotte, I am honestly a little shocked at how bad they are. I know they've dealt with a lot of stuff off court.
LaMelo just played his first game of the season, so they've had some injuries and stuff, but yeah, they aren't any good at all.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. Like those, if they wanted to be a part of that sweepstakes, those 10 wins probably already cost them. Houston's got 2 wins.
So at this point, it's almost, again, I would be looking right now to trade high. So here's something. Kelly Olynyk, pardon my fumbling of that, led the squad in both scoring and rebounding against the Knicks. 27 points, 11 rebounds. It's not the first time he's led. Actually, that is the first time he's led the team in scoring for the year, but you've heard his name a lot. There's Conley on that squad. We also have Clarkson. I'm assuming that Sexton, Markkanen, and Vanderbilt are the types of young core players that they want to build around. I wouldn't think those
guys would get changed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but I'm still looking at least 3 guys. We've seen Beasley led the team in scoring against the Sixers. I think, again, he's probably a guy that stays. But they have some guys. I would almost start making these calls for trades now, because you don't have to wait until the trade deadline to make them. And with older guys like Conley, the longer you run him out there, the more chance you have of lessening his value with an injury.
Or regression back to the mean. He is averaging a career high in assists right now,
which will at some point go down, because I don't think that everyone. And again, some of this, like how much of Lauri Markkanen is going to. We talk about regressing back to the mean. This guy has led the team in scoring over half the game. I'm just going to rattle them off quickly. 31, 24, 17, 23, 31, 27, 23, and another 32. Those are all the instances where Markkanen has led the team in scoring and the number of points that he scored. And by the way, he's also led the team in rebounding in half those games as well. So is that going to continue? Is that going to track? That's my big question.
It's his career season. Like, that's the thing. He's never done it before. He's exploding. It's the best season he's ever had.
Yeah. So
Jordan Clarkson, since we talked about him 2 weeks ago, he's down 0.9 points per game. He's almost down a full point per game since we talked last.
See, again, yeah, part of that
2 weeks ago, I think. But yeah,
maybe it's the fantasy manager in me, but it's like, dude, sell high, sell right now. Like, you don't want to be here. You won too many games already, but that doesn't mean. They also, it should be noted, the Utah Jazz have 3 first-round picks next year. So I think it may be too late for Victor and Scoot, right? Maybe too late for the cream of the crop, as the Macho Man would say. But these guys have their own pick. They have the Timberwolves unprotected pick, which isn't looking too bad right now.
Probably lottery pick, borderline-ish.
And then they're going to have that Nets conditional pick, which is going to be the worst between the Nets and Sixers because obviously, even though Houston's in that mix, there's no way Houston has the best, basically, or the worst draft pick. So they're going to get the worst out of those 3 picks. But I mean, that's a lot of potential in the first round. And when you have, I mean, I'm just saying you could maybe you pair all 3 of those picks. I mean, I'm just saying there's many reasons to me still for this team to not be great and to build for the future and to clear a little space. To some of these trades, I imagine won't just be for draft assets. I imagine with Conley or Clarkson, one of these guys, you may get a young guard in return. You may get somebody that you can play, right, and see what you've got. Just let
Could
these
be
young guys
expiring
play.
contracts in there too. There's going to be that kind of. It's not going to be all draft capital, because
So that's what I would do.
They could take on somebody like that. They could. I mean, there's no way it happened, but they could hypothetically take on a Russell Westbrook, somebody with a mega contract that's expiring because they don't have to worry about it.
Yep, and potentially even buy out,
Exactly. Yeah.
or something like that.
Get back some young players. Now, obviously, the Lakers don't have any, but just hypothetical. There, he's the easiest one to use.
Right. So I think we'll be wrong because I'm cursing it right now, but I do believe that
they're going to win 3 games. How many? Let's see. By the time me and you talk again next week, the 24th, they play 1, 2, 3. They play 4 times. Them boys are going to win all 4. They're going to beat Phoenix, Portland, the Clippers, and Detroit somehow. And me and you are just going to be like, I
give up, and then we will
watch will continue.
Throw away the Utah quest or whatever. We've already got Wembanyama watch, so we gotta come up with a different name other than watch. But it's funny. We were joking about this, and I think it's fun. We're getting close to the end here. We definitely got to do our Friday previews, but and we have one more little fun clip here in a second. But I think it's hilarious that we both had a fear coming into this show. When you're an NBA flagship program, we knew we'd be talking a lot about the Nets, and we thought we were afraid of being a Lakers podcast, right? Like
we're terrified of it.
You can't not talk about the NBA and talk about its biggest brand. But I never would have thought that we'd be doing a month straight of Jazz content. So I think we're doing the league's work here.
We really, and what's funny is we really haven't talked much about the Lakers. They're so bad. It's just like, hypothetically, who could they trade for? That's about it at this point.
Yeah, and when should they start trading assets away? Yeah, that's really, it's all basically all their hypotheticals start in the off season at this point, because you really can't do anything with that roster this year, which we've all been saying, and it's just so funny that Rob Pelinka somehow got an extension, but that's topic for another day now, isn't it?
Never ceases to amaze me how people they always do.
Oh, I gotta find the jerseys. Oh, hang on.
This is the big one. This is the one thing we had this is the first thing we brought up, folks. We've got, once he finds it, we rated the best and the worst of the city jerseys.
And there are some interesting ones in here.
Gems and some interesting ones.
Some real studs and duds. Now, I don't know. I kind of wanted to get our Colin Cowherd on and maybe do a top 5, bottom 5. I don't know. Maybe if you want to just pick your favorite 2 or 3 and your bottom. But I think we should call out some of the more questionable decisions on here as well. So I'll let you start, though. I've maybe got some pointed feedback here, but what do you like and dislike on this screen right now?
I'm gonna go. I've got a different picture. I love the Milwaukee jerseys, that sky blue jersey they have. It's the 3rd row on the left there. It looks darker than some other pictures, but the sky blue, I love that. I love the Phoenix teal jersey. It makes no sense to me at all, but I love it. I love that color. The Miami Vice jerseys I've always been a fan of. They're kind of goofy. They're different, but I do like them. You got a good You got a good throwback. The Houston throwback's really good. Throwback to the 90s era.
I love that. I love the Houston throwback. There's a couple of good 90s throwbacks in here. If you look at Dallas and Denver, top right on this graphic, those are both reimaginings. Like with the Dallas one, they changed the font. But I loved, it was so hideously 90s, like that that royal blue and that bright green, like two colors that just don't go together. I mean, the Timberwolves did it too in the 90s, but
it just didn't
and
make
then
any sense whatsoever.
and those Abdu Rauf, Dikembe Mutombo Denver
Mm-hmm.
jerseys, I loved that. Charlotte, I'm just gonna say, I think they probably should have picked a different lettering scheme, but I'm just gonna leave it at that.
We
If
don't.
you
We
know, you
won't go
know.
too much into detail on that.
Yeah.
That's that was a whoops. Bad.
And much in the same vein as Phoenix, I really like the Spurs, those ugly teal jerseys.
Yep.
Those are
I love a weirdly obnoxious jersey that turns out well.
Oh, we miss the Jazz throwback. I mean, thank goodness for this Jazz throwback because their standard jerseys and their court is just hideous
Yeah, what
this
they've
year.
gone to. Yeah.
I
I would
actually thought
agree
I
with
was on the
that.
wrong channel when I went to check on the Jazz home game last night because the whole court was painted in black. And so I was like, oh, am I watching like the Nets game or something? What did I do? But no, they just are pure black with block highlighter yellow. So yeah, great throwback.
Yeah, it's
That Knicks is a
weird.
throwback. I love that. Um,
Yeah, the Knicks.
uh,
I do like that Knicks black. I do like that one as well.
the Pacers jersey on its own is hideous, and when you see it, we were beside ourselves as Pacers fans. But once they actually put them in, like the shorts do a lot because the shorts
Yeah,
also have that same black with the yellow lining. But it's weird. It feels kind of self gratifying to have your city jersey be about your stadium. I would have much rather have seen.
I
If you remember
agree.
the
Yeah.
'90s, the Pacers and the Trailblazers had those where they had like the 3-color along the side.
Yep.
I kind of like what Portland has down here, but it was a little bit different and it was limited just to like the corner. I would have loved to have seen that. Also, the Pacers had those awesome
God,
pinstripe jerseys, kind of like what Charlotte did or what Houston did.
that Jazz jersey
Um,
is beautiful. God, that's beautiful. The mountains.
oh, it's so
Oh,
good. Yeah.
so good, man.
Brooklyn's is hideous. I don't understand the handwritten.
It's
Um,
also really similar to what they've worn the last few years.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't like it.
It's like you guys really liked last year's jerseys. We're sorry we changed them.
Yeah. I don't like either of the LA jerseys. I'm not a fan of
Yeah,
those.
the Clippers really that says brotherly love.
Yeah.
Not good.
Uh,
I don't like the Lakers, but I have less issues with it because at least it's
yeah,
preferential to a throwback.
yeah,
But
it's
yeah.
different. I the Celtics is interesting.
Oh wait, that was
That,
Philly.
that
Sorry, the brotherly love one. I
Yeah,
was
the
looking at
brotherly
sorry,
love is
yeah.
Philly. LA's they both have just Los Angeles. I kind of like the white and purple for LA. The Lakers with the Clippers is black. I don't like that one. The Celtics forest green is interesting. I kind of want to see it, but it really reminds me way too much of the Milwaukee Bucks normal colors.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that.
The Notre Dame fan in me doesn't mind it, but yeah, it does
Yeah, yeah.
shoot off. And then like kind of same thing with Detroit. Detroit's jersey gives me the same vibes as that
hmm
malice, that Dallas Mavericks throwback because
Yes, it
it
does.
really, if you look at this Detroit, that's what the 90s Mavericks jerseys look. And they even
You just
had a green
change the
alternate.
name on it. Yeah, if you just change the name on it and put Dallas, it'd be almost a spot on replica.
And these Golden State jerseys just remind me of the Jacksonville Jaguars helmets and
Oh, the
the
split helmets. Yeah,
yeah,
the Golden
gradient.
State leaning into
Yeah.
the rows
I
there.
hate it.
I have that one. I don't even know what I think about it. I think that's another one. I got to see the shorts. I got to see
Yeah, it
what
could be
goes with.
saved by the
It could
shorts for
also
sure.
could get worse because it could go like black, yellow, black. It could look like a
Yeah.
Jags helmet. I don't
Yeah,
like
yeah, black, yellow, oh, yeah, exactly, gross,
yeah.
it could be that.
I don't like New Orleans jersey. I think I just don't
Nola, it's
mind.
played out too,
Yeah.
it's been
That and
overdone.
the same thing with Minnesota, but I don't understand Minnesota's color. I might be missing something there. It might represent something, the stripes on it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's I mean, I like it's like, okay, cool, that's a neat color scheme, I guess, but, yeah, I don't it get that actually reminds me of a throwback Nuggets jersey.
Yeah.
Because if you remember prior to the one that we see at the top, they had, like, that white where they had the skyline, of Denver,
Yeah.
and they had like weird rainbow-esque colors behind it. I think
Yep.
it might be like might have been the state flag or something. But I do like these Sacramento. These give me like maybe
Yeah, I do
not
too.
'02 vibes, but these give me like earlier, previous decade vibes. So
Mhm.
I think there's a good mix. The teams that had the nostalgia, the '90s nostalgia and early 2000s nostalgia, like the Knicks, that's another good throwback. Like I think those teams did pretty well. Some of them definitely missed. I really wish Memphis would have done the old school, like do the old
Mhm.
Vancouver logo or something, or that color scheme.
I
But they've
agree. I
done it
don't.
before.
They've done it before. I don't hate that jersey. I kind of like the black, but I agree. I think there should always have something to do with that Vancouver logo is so iconic. You're always like, if you get a good '90s throwback, any of these
Yeah.
jerseys, I'm going to be all about it. I think they were so much bolder and more ridiculous. Is probably the best way to put it.
And
But
I
there were
might be
some
looking at this
bangers.
wrong, but doesn't that Memphis jersey kind of remind you of the early 2000 Kings? Like that just reminds me
Yeah,
of the
the
Black Kings
black
jersey.
and
Yeah.
purple. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So these are cool. I'm excited to see some of these. Almost as excited as I am for Friday night's matchup slate,
Some
which wow is going to completely hide us. So I won't leave it up all day, but you guys can get a break from our beautiful faces for a minute. So which was the first one that pops up here for you, James?
Bucks at 76ers. That was the first one on the slate I looked at and went, "Oh, that is a lot of fun, folks."
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll hide it while we talk about it. But yeah, Bucks at 76ers. I've got
Prime
my
time, ESPN, Friday night, 7:30.
we've got what the second best team in the East going against
Mhm.
record wise, of course. Oh, I've got the league standings pulled up. That's why it's all confused.
Yeah,
I was like, I know Philly's not that far down.
Milwaukee's now 7th or 2nd behind the Celtics. Philly's 7-7. Prime time, that's 7:30. That's on ESPN Friday night. That's a lot of fun. And obviously no James Harden, but Joel Embiid's playing out of his mind. That could be a lot of fun, folks.
You got a favorite in mind? Who do you somebody?
I stick with Milwaukee still until Philly gets some wins against better teams. I'm not going to buy into it. I'll stand behind Milwaukee on that one.
Yeah, I agree. I think in games like this, especially when the best players have skill sets that match up to a degree, obviously, I mean, Embiid's a better shooter from the outside than
Hmm.
Giannis, but I think that their defensive efforts, like they will kind of cancel each other out. I tend
Hmm.
to like a law of averages. And so give me the best supporting cast. So give me the team that's been playing better team basketball all year so far. So I
Yep,
would take the Bucks with that one too.
I agree.
So we'll pull it back up. Let me see here. Of course, everybody got to keep an eye out for that Pacers Houston matchup. Very important. No, the next one that stuck out to me, and we got two of them here at the 8:30 hour, but I guess we'll just start in order. We got Denver and Dallas.
Mhm.
That was one that I was looking at.
Yep.
Let's see. We got two playoff squads this time. Their records are pretty close together. Denver's at 9-4. Dallas is at 8-6.
Hmm.
You feeling any particular way about this game?
Ooh, I think I lean towards Dallas because it's home. Dallas rested some guys tonight. Luca didn't play tonight, so I assume their next game. I'm trying to find them. I think that would be their next game. I don't think they play tomorrow, but they rested some guys. They're going to be fresh. I like Luca in the Mavericks at home in that game.
Can confirm they are off tomorrow. There are only 3 games tomorrow, and really none of them barn burners. The only one worth mentioning really is Brooklyn at Portland at 10 p.m. So, yeah, I think I like that pick. I'm gonna go against it though. I'm gonna go with Denver for this one, but I
Okay, I'm
can
gonna
see.
stop you for a second. Jokic is not going to play in that game. So does that change your pick?
Yep,
Uh, Yep, I'm not
yep.
going to
I
let you.
like Dallas all the
I'm not
way.
going to. I'm not going to cheat you here.
I appreciate that. Okay,
Uh,
so Jokic is out.
Jokic is in. Jokic is in health and safety protocols. So I don't think he plays Friday.
Big.
Which I didn't know this was still a thing. I didn't know this was still a thing in pro sports. I don't think NFL had anybody in the health and safety protocols this year.
No, I don't think they're doing it. I don't think. Yes. Also, wasn't aware that that was a thing. So the
I
next.
didn't realize it until him and somebody else got put in it a couple days ago too. So I don't remember who it was, but that's how I found it. So he's most likely out Friday. So it's still a thing in the NBA if you didn't know that.
Every time I hear about health and safety protocols, I just assume someone went and ate wings at a gentleman's club when they weren't supposed to.
Right?
But I
They
have
were
no
great
idea where
wings.
that
Great
idea
wings.
came to me. It's not like anyone's ever done that before. The next matchup was Boston and New Orleans.
Oh, that's fun.
Talk
Yeah.
about fun. Yeah. This is going to be a shootout, I would imagine. Now, Zion rested in the last game. Is that correct? Yeah, I believe Zion was out last
He
game.
was out. He rolled his foot contusion or something. He stepped on somebody.
Mm,
It's always with his feet, no matter what. It's always with his feet. I don't think it's
yeah.
long term. I think he's back Friday though. So they're 9-6 against Celtics who have won 8 straight. That's fun. A lot of fun there.
If there was a team that would be right place, right time,
Yeah.
especially with the healthy Zion that could end that streak, I think it would be the Pelicans. But yeah, right now, give me the hot hand, especially because I'm not
Yep.
100% certain Zion's playing. But either way, I imagine at the very least, it's going to be a very entertaining 3 quarters of basketball because I wonder if both teams are at full strength, I think that can go wire to wire. But if New Orleans is without Zion, I could see Boston just kind of outlasting them and it being a
I agree.
shootout until someone gets tired at the end. And I
Yep.
don't think it's going to be Boston that gets tired. They have some incredible depth right now. Like you said, Brogdon is doing some good work and really kind of extending their just giving them more time on the court when they're an offensive threat, more options with the ball. So
Yep.
that's a good one. I think we're in line on that one. Let me pull it back up. Oh, there's another. Well, I think Phoenix, Utah. I think we definitely have to talk about. I'm also
Have to.
now interested in New York and Golden State, so we can end it there. But let's
Yep.
stick with Utah and Phoenix first.
I'm gonna listen. We have cursed our boys. They didn't win a game last week. I think it's at Utah. I think they come out and they're gonna find a way to win somehow. They're gonna prove the bounce wrong. They're gonna go out and win their next 4.
I like it. Here's what's going on that I can kind of, although I think I'm going to pick against you. I can see it
That's what you're
because
here for, man.
this is their first matchup of the year. Phoenix is still getting it together. We're not 100% certain that Chris Paul is going to play. He's still dealing with an injury himself. So I could very well see Utah pulling this one out. And they just lost to the Knicks. So of course, they're not going to be overlooking anybody. I truly believe what happened late in that game. They got a little comfortable and Jalen Brunson and company took them to task. And, they just the Jazz, in my opinion, lost that game. And so I think they are in a position where if everything plays out, they could beat the Suns. But I'm going to pick the Suns just for the sake of content. I don't want to agree with you. So let's do no, James. I'm not going to let you do that, James. My team is going to win this game.
Exactly.
So the final game wouldn't have been on the radar maybe if it weren't for that Jazz loss last night. Knicks and Warriors. We have also checked in on the Warriors pretty frequently on this program.
Did you know that the Warriors have not won a road game yet this year, Kev? Did you know that?
I did not know that, but that
7 on the road. They are playing the Suns right now. Let's get a score update here. It just started. They are down 7.5, so they're 0-7 on the road, down 7.5 right now.
Oof, not good. And yeah, to that very Phoenix team, which again, that would kind of going to be watching this game to keep tabs on that Friday prediction of that Jazz Suns game because
Steph Curry has 31.5 right now. They have 65 points. Steph Curry has 31.5 on 13 shots.
It's like on this episode, on this week's episode of the Golden State Warriors, Steph tries to do it all by himself. I feel like that's what we kind of talked about last week when they came up, right? Where it's like his numbers look great. He's looking every bit the Steph that
pro season, and then you look at every single other player.
Even the ones you expect
3 for 8.
Yeah.
Looney's 5 for 5. That's interesting.
There we go.
They're struggling with their bench, man. Their bench has been. Jordan Poole's got 2 points tonight on 3 shots. DiVincenzo's playing. He came back from an injury, I believe. Draymond's got 2 points. Wiggs 2 for 6. Looney's a different. Klay Thompson's only 3 for 8.
Don't know how much.
Your boy Campaign 18 points.
Hey.
Yeah, Chris Paul is not playing there, so it's Campaign. Books got 16. Bridges 14. It's just interesting.
And that's the thing with that Suns team. I sometimes it's weird the way that they rally without Chris Paul and Campaign. While I don't know that I would ever give him the keys full time to be my starting point guard, I think he's one of the best backup / fill-in starting point guards in the league because he does his job. He's high energy, high impact. He plays with effort. I'm not going to call him a great defender, but he plays with a lot of effort on defense and will push the ball and knows that he's not the best scorer on the floor and he's not afraid to take a shot when he has it. So I think that's a great balance of if you don't treat me with respect, I'm going to hurt you, like to the tune of 18 points like he has right now. At the same time, he knows that D-Book and Ayton are where his bread is buttered, where the team's bread is buttered if they're going to go somewhere. So I really do. The Campaign really is my boy. The journey, a guy finally, you see travel the league, G League, in and out, and just so glad that he has found a spot.
He was really drafted by the Pacers, right?
It's possible. I fact check me on that.
Fact checking this right now. Let's see here. I thought he was. I'm pulling it up. Murray State's finest until Ja came on. Sorry, he was Oklahoma City. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
One of my buddies is a really big Pacers fan. I think he wanted him. There was something. He might have been drafted ahead of Miles Turner.
Oh, yeah, Miles.
Something like that.
Oh, Miles. One day the Pacers will either re-sign or trade him because that could also be a recurring segment we could have every week.
I'm now going to find this out because now I got to know. So, all right. So we got Knicks Warriors Friday night. Who do you got?
Yeah, I think depending on how tonight goes, but right now I'm feeling Knicks just because I'm watching them win a couple of games. I'm actually going to pull it up and see what they've been doing recently because they're only 7-8 right now, or sorry, 7-7. But they beat the Jazz last night. They've got a couple other wins over the last couple of weeks. Like they're not winning anything in a row. Like they're just going win, loss, win, loss, win, loss.
Yeah.
But so they looking at like their last 7 or 8 games, they beat the Sixers, lost to the Celtics, of course, beat the T-Wolves, a bad loss to the Nets, of course, beat the Pistons. But yeah, then they lose to the Thunder by 10 and they turn around and beat the Jazz. So I don't know maybe this Nuggets game will answer a lot of questions for me. But right now, I just I like the Knicks to pull what I still think is a surprise win against a currently struggling Warriors team.
So I got my answer. Miles Turner was picked 3 picks ahead of Campaign. That's what it was. I know one of my buddies wanted him for the Pacers. Oh man,
I'm glad it went the way it did. If I'm being
kind of liked. I'm gonna go with the Warriors at home. They're better at home. They haven't won on the road. Trending towards looks like they're gonna lose again tonight on the road. But they're their better team at home. I'm just gonna go against you because I don't firmly believe in the Knicks team, and Steph's still the best player on the court regardless.
The Knicks want payback for him setting that record in their building, right?
Right.
Yeah. They come back for blood.
Yeah.
In the form of an early season meaningless victory.
Meaningless doesn't matter at all game.
Well, so I think that about wraps it. That's our at least that's the last matchup I had. If you have
that's what I had too. Those were the 5 I had on when we talked pregame. We had the same exact ones.
Perfect. So with that, I think that about wraps it. We appreciate you all hanging out with us. James, thanks for sticking around. We got almost at the 90-minute mark here. I am happy about that.
Moving, man. We could sit there and talk for ages on this stuff.
We could squeeze out 7 more minutes and we could probably do this all day, but we will before we get out of here, James, I, of course, as always, have to let them know where they can find you. What you got out there in the in the oven or just recently released?
Obviously, we got this one every week, Thursdays every week. I'm also the host of the Titans Tilt podcast. I do twice a week. One came out today. The other one's going to come out tomorrow morning. Titans got the Thursday night football game tomorrow. They're up in Lambeau, so short week for them. So hopefully it's going to be a healthy dose of Derrick Henry.
Hey, a good Thursday matchup.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thursdays get weird, though. Those Thursday games are goofy, man.
We could talk for an hour about this. That's my least favorite part of the NFL. I think
agree.
Thursday games are bad for the game.
I think they should go. I agree.
Yep. Not doing really anything good for anybody except for people who are bored enough to want to watch bad football on a Thursday. But not to say that Titans versus Packers will be bad football.
No, it's just it's the reality on those short weeks like that. It's the quality of it's not as good.
Yeah, it's like you want to get hit by a car 4 times in 5 days. Like, no, I don't think anybody does. Like, keep the games on Sunday and Monday, boys, except for Thanksgiving. This is ridiculous. But yeah, what else you got? Sorry, I jumped in on your plug there.
That's it, man. I got the Titans Tilt podcast, and you can catch me and you here every week, my friend.
Excellent. Yes, every Thursday at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, you can find us here on Stadium Rant's YouTube channel. Also, Tuesday nights at that same hour slot, you can find Necessary Roughness, our NFL program. You can find me Fridays and Sunday nights on the Indie Intercept podcast. Again, brought to you by Stadium Rant. And if you are looking for more of my stuff a la carte, please subscribe to me at Bite Size Sports on YouTube. I will be happy to make fun of your favorite sports team. So make sure you have a sense of humor if you come visit me over there. Okay. All right. Thank you all so much. Thank you, James. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.